Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
He wants to speak to his.
Whatever, everything is out there. It's out there. I've just read it. And of course, you are not in parliament, but of course, you're a member of this government, party in government.
No, the man who ran the press conference is here. Let him
the issues have been raised. I've just run the issues by you. Yeah. What do you make of it?
Which part?
Everything. You've accepted 14.
Well, I think that we are overflogging this matter.
Okay.
Can I borrow your constitution?
Right.
We are overflogging this matter.
Why?
Why? Because they keep making reference to Article 75 of the Constitution. And I will read part, and then I will explain in part what my position is on the matter. And in reference to that, it's always the case, the Gitmo case, when the U.S. had deported some, call it convicts, in the U.S. To Ghana, and we accepted at the time to have them in Ghana. I think in 2015 or 2016, one of them. And then somebody went to court. I don't remember who went to court.
It was Nana B and one
Nana B.
Bamfo.
That's true.
Yes,
that's true. Went to court, and the Supreme Court at the time gave a ruling.
Right.
And tried to give expression to Article 75 and say the president may execute or cause to be executed treaties, agreements, or conventions in the name of Ghana. A treaty, agreement, or convention executed by or under the authority of the president shall be subject to ratification by a act of parliament or a resolution of parliament supported by the vote of more than 1/2 of the members of parliament. And the Supreme Court gave voice to this in relation to what constitutes a treaty, an agreement under the UN conventions and also under the ECOWAS treaties that Ghana has entered into. The bottom line in all this matter is that the Gitmo case has no resemblance to this particular case. The Gitmo case were people who the US had incarcerated and then were given to Ghana. They were foreign nationals. They were not nationals of any West African origin. Already based on the ECOWAS treaty, Ghana being party to already give ECOWAS citizens 90 days in Ghana to find their feet. And then after 90 days it expires, you have to go and come in again. That's if you want to keep going on the 90 days period. And that's for only West African nationals. These people being repatriated are not criminals. We've got to get this clear. These are people who are just being deported from the US for being an illegal immigrant. They are not criminals, and we need to clear that clearly. Number two, the people being deported are people who are of West African origin. The U.S. in this agreement or MOU, call it an MOU with the parties, signed an MOU with Ghana, with Eswatini, with Rwanda, with one more, two more of them, and all of them were receiving some number of their indigents, especially in the region. So, for instance, in West Africa, Ghana is the one representing West Africa. Ghana has always boasted of being the gateway to West Africa. What did we mean when we say gateway to West Africa? What did we mean when we say that we are good neighbors? What do we mean when we say we are hospitable? And these are people who have gone abroad for one of maybe seeking greener pastures, if you want to call it, in the U.S., but were hitherto being held as illegal immigrants because they had no papers. And because they had no papers, you cannot also work and have a decent living. People living in conditions that were below human dignity. The U.S. reached some MOU agreement with Ghana and say, well, we have a couple of your people coming to Ghana. It will be out of too much work to say that if you have 3 Nigerians in Ghana, fly an aeroplane all the way from the US, go to Nigeria, come to Ghana, go to Cote d'Ivoire, that sort of thing. And the US, knowing that Ghana does have some bilateral agreement with our neighbors, decided to choose Ghana as the destination for some of these people. 11 have arrived so far. Some 40 more, we are told, should be coming in much later. Now, how do I go to Parliament? I will go to Parliament based on specifics. You don't go to Parliament saying that we are expecting some deportees, and so we don't even know the number yet. When we know the number, we'll communicate, but give us ratification. First of all, what is the meaning of ratification? Ratification in law simply is an act committed by a public officer who is duly allowed to commit, but that act has to be was endorsed by another body, checks and balances, and is always in a later date. Of course, the Constitution is not clear as to how many days that should last, but some rulings, court rulings, or what you call judicial decisions have given credence to how long some of these ratifications to be done. For instance, in corporate affairs, you will say that in 14 days, some of those decisions should have been ratified. So it is not true that the decision to accept these deportees from the US, who are West African citizens, who have a right to enter Ghana with or without visa, to enter into Ghana. And so the president has taken them on. Number three, it is also clear that these are not criminals, as the NPP seeks to put out that Ghana is at risk and our sovereignty is at risk and all that, and criminals will come in and all that. They create all kinds of situations out of it. The other thing is that government of Ghana has not received a dime from the US in terms of monetary support to be disclosed as they are putting out. What benefit did we get? What did we get out of that? What did we get out of that? You remember some years ago, the US established a US command in this country. Yes. You remember? Mm-hmm. Now, in establishing that command, what was the procedure in establishing that command in this country? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of uproar at the time. We should go to Parliament. Parliament has to give that sovereignty. It happened under President Kufuor. What was President Kufuor's response at the time? There are some decisions that are taken by the executive. In real life, the President of the Republic, that are security decisions. And those decisions are taken and later ratified. The other part of this whole discourse is that the Ghana government has indicated clearly that these people that are coming in, we, as part of the MOU, we have agreed to screen them. And so we have a right to reject or to admit who comes into our country. If the person that is coming has a criminal record, violent criminal record, or has been incarcerated in the US, or jailed for a violent crime and all that, the US itself may not even release those people to us because we don't have any agreement with Ghana on passing on of criminals, either to who are of Ghanaian origin when they do that in the US and they're incarcerated. So some of those people don't even come here. These are just people walking the street of America who don't have papers, who are illegal, and so the US government, based on Donald Trump's immigration laws, new laws, decided to ship them out of their country. Should we not be proud as Ghanaian, you and I, including the NPP, that Ghana is still shining that torch very brightly in the South region to accept some of these people and then repatriate them to their various countries? It is not even as though that the agreement or the MOU that the government of Ghana signed with the US or had an agreement with the US, or whether verbal or written with the US, indicated that the people coming to Ghana must live in Ghana. That's not the case. They are just here as a transit point. How many people that transit through Ghana are required to do some of these things they are saying? On a daily basis, a lot of aircrafts transit through this country. But because they are, of West African origin, they could get off the plane and do whatever they want to do and go back where, if they so wish. So the ministry has explained that these people are going back to their various countries. The ministry has also explained that these are not criminals. The ministry has also expressed, the desire to vet. And this is part of the MOU with the US, that we will vet the people that you hand over to us. We're not just going to allow them into our country because we won't take any criminal, dissident into our country, and we'll do due diligence in that matter. The NPP keeps calling for ratification and all that. I don't think it's far-fetched. The president hasn't ruled out the possibility of a ratification plan. But we want to be sure how many people are coming in. What are the names of these people? As we speak, we don't even know the names of the people, the other 40 that should join. What are you taking to Parliament? And what is Parliament ratifying if the details are not yet out. Again, the last part, which for me, the NPP should exercise some restraint, is that in all these their deliberations, they are quick to say, oh, we'll go to the Supreme Court. We'll go to the Supreme Court. Well, I don't think anybody is stopping the NPP from going to the Supreme Court on a review on this matter. Yes, they claim that there's already a decided case on that matter. Go to the Supreme Court, cite that decided case, make your claims, and let the Supreme Court take a decision on this matter, whether it required ratification and all that. Then you also don't understand what they actually mean in some of these. You see, in law, there are some things that are crimes. We will call them crimes, but they won't qualify in the word crime because there's no punishment prescribed for them. Once you can call it a crime, but once there's no punishment written and prescribed by law for it, it's not a crime. They may as well serve as a guide for you not to do some of the things that we do. So for a whole minority to go on this tangent for days and weeks on this matter, I think they should cut the president some slack in terms of how he runs this country, what he views as issues that should go to parliament. And they are also making a mistake because right there in parliament where they have some of these things going on, they could have filed a question for the minister to come and answer. And then in answering some of these questions, the basis will be clear. Even if that has been done already, the basis would have been clear. The press conferences, the demonstrations, the casting of aspersions, the insinuations, we see it more as an attempt for the NPP to get some credibility in the space of politics in this country as we speak. Because it does appear as though everything now is press conference, everything now is demonstration, everything now is about who can shout the loudest or who is more powerful in the NPP and who wants to be heard and who shouldn't be heard. For me, there are more cogent matters the NPP should be looking at, which would get this country maybe on another level, faster development, faster progress than we are seeing today. It looks as though demonstration and press conference seems to be the only solution they prefer in some of these issues. And then threats and all that. You have a national organizer who is on TV shouting and screaming and saying that if government doesn't do it, we'll do this, we'll do that. If you believe in the rule of law, go to court. Very simple. And the minister would be asked to answer questions. You have an attorney general who is also a member of parliament right with them. And nobody seems to even inquire. Oh, Mr. Attorney General, what is your position on this matter? Or Mr. Foreign Minister, come and give you the reasons for which. The minister has been speaking and speaking and speaking very loudly. So it's a press conference that is much about nothing. And I see several pages of the press conference going back and forth and over on this matter. We thought that by now they would have been in court. I don't know if I'm not privy to that. We thought that by now they would have been in court in challenging the decision of the minister and the president in that matter. And we will all be save our ears, the noise, the threats, the assumptions and all the insinuations that is being cast all around the place. We will serve Ghana good if they will go to court on this matter. We are people believing in the rule of law. We do expect that they should go to court on this matter. And the court will give directives on what should be done, rather than the press conferences.
I see. So these West African nationals,
yes,
who have been deported from America,
yes,
as part of America's immigration crackdown,
yes,
are supposed to be here in Ghana.
Yes, they are here in
14
Ghana
of them.
now. Yes.
Okay. We're picking some reports that some of them have been transferred to Togo and so on.
I agree, but I'm just saying that
Ghana.
part has already been to Ghana and
okay.
been
all right.
treated.
And your argument is that this is not the same as the Gitmo 2 matter.
It's not the same.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, you are also saying that this is in the spirit of neighborliness.
Yes.
We're West Africans.
Yeah,
and so
the
on.
minister said that.
Okay, but I have a question, a number of questions to ask. Now, we're talking about Nigerians, we're talking about Malawians, and we're talking about
Togolese and
yes.
Ivorians, yeah.
Now, why didn't the government of these countries, take them?
Okay.
Why did Ghana decide to accept this 14 and not rather make a case that, look, these are people who have not been rejected by their countries.
Yeah.
So why don't they go there?
So
why did we decide to take them?
So I don't know if have you been on a flight and see somebody being deported before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's a very dehumanizing, because sometimes you come in handcuffs. You come with even police escort. When you land at the airport, in fact, usually when they are coming on commercial flight, they'll keep them at the last end and the last corner.
Yes.
And you have a security officer by you. Sometimes they are in handcuffs. Even if they are not, once the plane touches down, they're in handcuffs. They'll carry you and hand you over to Ghana's authorities. You're not going home just like that. You will be locked until all the processes are done. And some of those processes include correspondence with your home country, your resettlement plan. Sometimes your visas are cancelled, your passport is withdrawn. There are sanctions to it, so there are processes. Now, the U.S. is doing in excess of about, if I'm not mistaken, about 34,000 people are being repatriated across the world in this whole project. You cannot, it's very difficult to want to have an agreement with each person of each country by one country called the U.S. So what do? You speak to your allies. And in speaking to your allies, Ghana come in handy to the U.S. that, hey, I have these people within the West African region. Can you take them and do the processes on our behalf? There's a U.S. embassy in this country. There's a U.S. command in this country. And they have their own networks and connections and in relations with their neighbors. Ghana is more pleased to have that discourse with Nigeria, with Togo, with Benin, with Malawi, than you would have maybe another country do that. And you have always known that Ghana has always played that mediation role almost in all conflicts in West Africa, including civil wars, including unrest and all that. We have always played that leading role. We have always been the intermediary. We have always been the basis. In fact, even in UN forces in the South region over wars and all that, Ghana has always been the base. The UN itself has always found Ghana as the base in doing some of those negotiations. You remember the Zimbabwe thing, for instance. When Kofi Annan was assigned to that, at the time he was not even the UN Secretary General. But I think I remember under President Mose, Kofi Annan was assigned to go and do that as a Ghanaian, first and foremost. Perhaps you would say as a former Secretary General and all that. So Ghana has been able to acquire that status in the Committee of Nations in terms of all these issues about arbitration, about mediation, about international relations, about resettlement plans, even the UNHCR. I remember many years ago, somewhere in 1991, 92, I was in Togo when some of those unrest happened. And some Togolese had to come to Ghana as refugees. It was in Ghana.
Okay.
In the whole of Aflau, the whole of Denu, those areas, or where places that we receive refugees and all that. And the UN was very pleased with some of those things we have done as a nation. We look more stable also. Number two, some of those people are claiming that they are running away from their countries based on some victimization and all that. Well, there's the other word. They were being chased out because of victimization. There's a word for it. For which reason left to the US. And so the US bringing them back will be subject to some other forms of maybe abuse or torture or whatever of the sort. And so, what do?
Or you mean stigmatization?
Stigmatization, there's another word. There's another word for it. So, the US felt that it will be more complex. 34,000 people, and I have to have an agreement on each of them for each nation. That's a lot. You can find that's like distributing your call it your workload to a nearby station that will be able to translate this into the various countries. So Ghana begins to serve now as the bridge between that. It's not as though Ghana supports the deportation plan, but however, last year, 97 Ghanaians were deported from the US to this country. 97. If these people were given to Nigeria, Nigeria said they didn't want them, and they were living in very undignified situations.
But I get the point you're making, but I'm saying that, pardon my ignorance about these things, but I want to understand something. I'm Ghanaian. I go to America. I overstayed my welcome. Visa expired. I'm still there. Trump catches me and throws me back. Why won't Trump send me back to Ghana? I'm Ghanaian. I have a home.
You see,
why won't Trump send me back to Ghana?
Like I'm saying, we're talking about numbers. And I'm telling you that in that
but
process,
all of these people would have been processed. We know where everybody comes from.
I agree. I'm not disputing that.
Yes.
But I'm saying that the sheer numbers you have makes it impossible to reach an agreement on each of them. When will you finish them?
Why do you have to reach an agreement with them?
Oh,
You are from Nigeria. Go back to your house.
No, it doesn't work.
That's what I'm saying. Pardon my ignorance.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Even when you are caught in the US, there are processes. In fact, you even need a court order to portray somebody.
But at least we know where the person comes from.
I agree. I'm saying that I agree. And that's why they are sending them back. But in sending them back, we take a bulk. If you see the countries that were chosen, Eswatini.
Yes.
Eswatini is where? In which part of Africa? Southern Africa, wherever. Right. Then you look at Rwanda. Where is it? It's also somewhere in Central Africa, if I'm not mistaken, right? Then which other country was it?
I think South Sudan.
South Sudan.
Yes.
So they took from our continent the various, what's the name? Zones,
yes.
you call it. The West African zone, the Central African zone, the West African zone, then the South African zone. Those were the representations. So this, for me, if you ask me, the US didn't do anything wrong because they want to facilitate that faster. If the US was to do this on their own, they would have been in detention camps in the US forever.
All right.
Because it would take a long process to do it. Okay. So this rather facilitates or makes it faster for them to be resettled. All right. The bit about they going to court and all that is neither here nor there. Okay. Ghana has committed no crime. If any crime that has been committed and they think they want to challenge the decision, that should be in the US. Okay. We don't hold the jurisdiction over a US decision. Okay. If they want to challenge this, the best place to go is to go to the US or get their lawyers to file in the US and get them to answer for that. Finally, we are only good neighbors.
This MOU that we have signed with America, has it been made public? Because I haven't seen that MOU.
There are a lot of bilateral decisions and discussions that are security in nature.
Doesn't the minority at least deserve to see this?
If they want, they can say it. They know what the process is. Press conference won't give it to them. They know when to ask for some of these details.
Madilo, he's a development analyst and a member of the NDC's communications team. So, yes, Wanda.
Yeah, so on this Gitmo thing, I think the NPP seems to be using one leg of the argument, which has in reference to the Gitmo case. But in that same Gitmo case, which they refuse to read for all of us, and I want to read this for all Ghanaians, it talks about substance over form. Then it talks about agreement, includes diplomatic note. And this is the explanation the court gave. The court held that the substance of the instrument is what matters. Anytime the court is saying something and it says that the substance is what matters, it means that it's referring to you must deal with the case in specificity. So each case and how it should be handled. You cannot conclude that everything that any agreement government enters to qualifies under Article 75. Okay. So it is as by case as it should be treated, and not, let's say, a collateral treatment of all the issues of diplomatic. Then it continues, it says that regardless of whether it was cast as a note verbal or diplomatic communication, if it creates binding obligation, then you put into bracket resettlement, monitoring, security assurances, then it falls under Article 75. Then they tell us that this should go to Parliament. Meanwhile, in the same ruling, the court is saying that it should be case by case. And it must fall within the structure of, one, if it creates a binding agreement, if it creates a resettlement, if it creates monetary, and if it creates security assurances. In all these four circumstances, none of the issues or the 11 deportees in this country fall within that space. We are not doing resettlement. At best, what the US is doing is to liaise with their embassy in Ghana to host these people while they transition them to their various countries. So it's a transit point. We are not bound either economically, financially, or any form. It poses no security threat to us because these are not criminals. They have not been tried in any US court as criminals. They are only people who have either overstayed their welcome or overstayed their visas or did not have requisite documents and were being deported based on the new president's deportation plan. Then it also did not create any security assurances for the US. We are not creating any security assurances for the US. Basically, the US embassy wants to have the people here so they can process them faster. That's all they are doing. The other part is that this Gitmo thing that they so much rely on also talks about monitoring. What's monitoring in this business? It's nothing about monitoring. In any case, we're not even taking people who are from different origin. We said the basis for which the US Embassy in collaboration with Ghana can do that is because under the protocol agreement, these people, at least within 90 days, can be processed to go back to their countries. And we've already started the process. The people you are even talking about, that they have been repatriated to Ghana and what not, have already begun going to their various countries of origin. And so let's be very distinct in our minds in some of these collateral, calling of everything, a binding agreement or a treaty or a convention or whatever of the sort.
Okay.
Ghana owes it a duty.
All right.
As a country in the South region
All right.
that believes that we're the gateway of this continent or West Africa, to do some of these things in good faith. Okay. The minister stated clearly that Ghana is not benefiting from any financial reward in this matter.
Okay.
So we can make progress.
All right.
So Wajir is very happy. You will be very happy.
Dedi kama amena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.